Since XIG version 1.4, you can send I/O sample information up to the iDigi cloud and retrieve it later using simple RESTful calls. I'm going to show you how.
As with previous examples, we're going to begin by logging into the iDigi developer cloud. Once in, we'll be presented with the device list. Let's find the gateway that our XBees are attached to and note the device ID. We will use this device ID in web service requests between iDigi and our remote gateway. We'll select our device ID here and it will be used for us automatically with web services requests. We're going to use the SCI web service request, or server command interface, to talk to the XIG and have the XIG configure a remote XBee on our behalf. What we'll do is use the remote AT command request to configure the remote XBee for reporting. We'll ask the remote XBee to send an I/O sample every 250 milliseconds, which will report the information all the way up to iDigi. We can see on my development board that the XBee has begun transmitting. I have a simple light sensing circuit attached to one of the I/O lines. If I move my hand up and down, the XBee will transmit that sample information to the XIG and from the XIG up to the iDigi cloud. We can query this information out of the iDigi cloud by using the DIA interface. Here I've run a simple query which shows us one of the samples up in the cloud. The iDigi cloud's DIA interface accepts conditions. Here I can scope the query to only things named AD1. To make it a little bit more clear, I'm going to cut and paste this URL into my web browser so you can see exactly how to query the data. iDigi also lets me change the format. Here I can ask for JSON or even a Microsoft Excel file. If I open the file, I can find the column containing our data. If I take that data and convert it to an integer, I can paste all of it into a new column and graph it. We can see an interesting trend in this data. Here you can actually see my hand moving up and down over the sensor. Neat, huh? If we have a device attached to the XBee serial port, there's another way for us to get data into iDigi. There's a new request called the iDigi data request on the XIG. If we format this request with values and names and optional units, that data will magically appear up on iDigi. Here we've created data streams called foo and bar and given them values 42 and SAM. If we continue adding samples to the foo channel, they will appear in historical order up on iDigi. If we change our query slightly, we can pull out all the information for bar and all the historical information for foo without having to set up anything on iDigi ahead of time. We can use this simple interface to exchange data between our applications and thousands of devices.